Good evening, everybody. This is Mike Tedesco of Wrestleview.com.
And Victoria Tedesco.
All right. Hello. Welcome, everybody. This is episode number 49 of the Post-Raw show, so we are there. We're almost there. This is it, the last one before the big 5-0. That halfway point to 100 shows.
Is it really 49?
Yeah, it is really 40.
No, the quotes are because I always forget. That's why.
Oh, yes. No, it is. It is.
I actually remember that it was number 49 today.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to forget the 49 because that's a big deal number to me.
If I don't remember next week, that's a problem.
If you forget next week, the 50th show, 50, which is like insane to me.
Insane.
50 shows doing this. Are we crazy? I guess so. We have to be a little crazy.
We definitely are crazy.
Yeah. You have to be a little crazy to want to get on for 50 episodes in a row to talk about Monday Night Raw. Now we've missed a few this year. We would have hit the 50 probably a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, probably.
But vacations and you get sick every now and then. Stuff happens. So, and there's no doubt about it. It'll probably take us a little longer to get to 100, especially with some events happening in October, which will probably take us away from our post-Raw duties for a little bit, including actually bringing T3 into the world. So little baby Tedesco will be born in October, so we'll probably be taking a mini hiatus around that time. So.
And we were saying we hope that just before the show, that we hope I don't go into labor early.
Yeah, we
that
hope
would stink.
We hope it doesn't happen during this show.
Oh my gosh.
Although that would definitely make for like one hell of a wrestling podcast.
Do you think the podcast would go viral? It's like, ooh.
It could. So you know what? Maybe we should root for Victoria to go into labor.
No, not happening.
Well,
you stay in there.
No, she has to bake for a little while longer. You're 31 weeks now?
31 weeks.
31 weeks.
35 weeks is where like the trouble starts, though.
Right.
So that's why I'm nervous.
Right. One could say the trouble started months ago. Anyway, let's say hello to everybody in the chat room, as we always do. We are always so appreciative of everybody who comes in here to listen to us talk about wrestling, which is something. Okay, we got Daniel Shell, labor.
No, Daniel, no, please.
James Lacerenza, a.k.a. James Influenza. Live water break. Wow, even the Attitude Era only tried that with Mae Young, and Mae was old and ugly. Mashun Walls. Very good evening to you, sir. We have Nafis Sadat. And now he's going to pass out because he just got back from Washington, D.C. So he's good.
Yeah.
Nafis will listen to us tomorrow.
I don't blame him.
Good to have him here.
That's
Billy
tough.
Hefner, our dear friend Billy Hefner. And Doug Lackey. Wrestleview's down for a week due to Tiny Human. It could be. Although we do have Jerome always helping out too. So I have to take my hat off to Jerome. When I was away on vacation, Jerome definitely stepped up big time.
Oh my gosh, Doug, you're too much. I can't.
Douglas. Quentin Walters. How can we can't forget Quentin?
No, Quentin's
Can't forget Quentin.
MVP.
He's the MVP of the wrestling chat rooms. Sweet Lou, Louis Veraldi in the chat room. And if I haven't said hello to you yet, please just say hello, and I will make sure I give you a shout out. All right, Doug, I'm here. Yay! Excellent. Try to contain your excitement because we have to talk about a lot of stuff, including the King of the Ring tournament coming back tonight, which I mentioned last week is one of my favorite things in WWE. I was bummed when they took it away. I mean, I get it. You take it away as a pay-per-view event. You don't need to have a whole pay-per-view surrounding it, I suppose. But having tournaments in WWE is a great way, especially this time of the year, to kind of break up the monotony.
100%.
Because these like late summer, early fall, winter shows, they get kind of long.
Oof.
So to have like some things to like break it up a little bit, like a King of the Ring tournament, something where there's set matches every week that you get to watch. Even if this one's only lasting for 4 weeks, but that's 4 weeks of stuff where they don't have to scramble around and like just put Ricochet and Samoa Joe and Cesaro in just kind of like pointless matches where they're kind of spinning their tires.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good kind of just a clear like storyline that they can have, and there's not much they have to do other than pick, guys to match up together. So it's really nice.
Right. Exactly. And Doug is apparently not a fan of tournaments. He says, tournaments, I can't think of anything, so tourney. Yes, that's how it happens. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing here, because they don't have any good ideas for people in general. So a tournament is a great way to kind of get these guys just some TV time, some exposure, something, where it's like we don't have to go into this big hairy storyline with like, I slept with my mortal enemy's sister, and now we're going to have a pay-per-view match for it. Haha. It's like, this is just, there doesn't need to be any hokiness. You can just kind of get these guys wrestling, and there's a purpose to having the matches. Because sometimes it's like, I'll watch a match, like, let's just say, let me just pull out of the ether.
Okay.
How about Robert Roode versus No Way Jose last week? Was there any real purpose to that match at all, other than for just them to fill up time?
Those are probably the wrong people to give an example.
The worst too.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there wasn't. There wasn't
Right.
any. There really wasn't any clear reason why they're matching up.
Right.
I know sometimes there's matches just to have matches, obviously, but yeah, no, I agree with you. It gives some sort of purpose to these tournaments, and a clear goal in mind, if you will.
Exactly. And it showcases some people that don't, everybody in this tournament does get showcased. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's 8 from Raw, 8 from SmackDown. They all get showcased in some kind of way on both of those shows. But here it kind of puts them in the spotlight, and, with a goal in mind, you don't have to create another title to give to people. They already have more than enough titles.
Yeah.
So here, like, this is just like a title that you can kind of give them where it's just once a year, kind of something to look forward to, and give them a little extra push. Maybe they could put, kind of like what they did with the NXT Breakout Tournament, which I greatly enjoyed.
Yeah.
A title
definitely.
match in this person's future.
Absolutely.
So,
no, I have to agree with you.
Yeah, it's.
I hate agreeing with you, but I have to.
I know it's not a bad deal. And also King of the Ring, another one of my favorites, just because my very first pay-per-view ever was the 2001 King of the Ring.
We have to ask the viewers if anybody went back and watched and saw you in the crowd, because you mentioned last week about how you were in the crowd.
Yes,
with your dad.
I was front row. I was front row at the King of the Ring pay-per-view in 2001.
Did anybody watch?
Did anybody find me? I know I've said it in the past. I remember Mr. V found me and actually put it on Wikipedia under like the trivia for King of the Ring that this was Mike Tedesco's first WWF pay-per-view ever. Now I'm like 60 shows in, which is like too much wrestling.
Oh.
But Doug says, Roode and Jose, 2 guys not in King of the Ring. Yes, I was using it as an example because I just pointing out, there's a lot of pointless segments that happen. And
those are definitely one of the more
King of the Ring kind of cancels out like pointless segments like that. In fact, that's why this whole show definitely flowed tonight.
100%.
I have to say, the first hour of this Raw was one of the best first hours I've watched all year.
Oh my gosh.
All year. That flew by. Absolutely flew by. There was just awesome segment after awesome segment. A phenomenal first match to kick off with Roman Reigns and Dolph Ziggler, which we'll talk about in a few moments. A great segment with Jerry Lawler and the Fiend. A lot of fun stuff. A good tag match. And then the second hour also flowed. The third hour kind of dragged a little bit, but it picked up in a big way.
But again,
at the end.
A third hour, but at the same time, it didn't drag in a way where you were like, oh my gosh.
And they kept the crowd in St. Paul, Minnesota the entire way, pretty much.
You told me the first time for tonight. Not that I obviously have seen shows in Minnesota before, but you told me that they were a huge wrestling crowd. I was like, really? I didn't know that.
Minnesota definitely has some passionate wrestling fans.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
One of them is Goosey. I know that. He's a huge... when WrestleMania didn't come to Minnesota, which I don't think it'll ever come to Minnesota because it's too damn cold there around
Goosey.
WrestleMania time. You can see the real passion there. And also we can't forget, Vern Gagne and the AWA in that territory for all those years. A lot of great wrestlers came out of that area. Ric Flair trained in that area. Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania was basically born in that area. So there's a lot of stuff.
See, I need you for this knowledge because I don't know.
This is why I'm here. This is why you married me.
I only married Mike just for wrestling. I was like, I need to know more. So.
There's not much else. There really isn't. So it's like, you got to take the wrestling knowledge, and that's the end of it. I like this. King Tedesco. I like that. Very
Nice.
good. Yes.
Nice.
All right. Let's jump into the show. Let's get the reviews going.
So we're doing quick hits and then not quick hits, big hits and then quick hits.
We'll do the big stuff and then we'll jump into the quick hits.
Got it.
Of Raw. But some of the big stuff actually doesn't happen at the top of the hour. What was that?
I think a bird flew into our window. I'm pretty sure.
Like a squirrel or something like that. It was like really weird.
I'm pretty sure a bird just flew into the window.
That's the perils of living next to the woods. Is a lot of wildlife.
We hear the wolves at night
too. A lot of wildlife and weird stuff. I mean, I've definitely heard a deer get killed in the woods before.
Oh my gosh.
I really no. Remember?
No, I know. I remember that.
That was when I was going through this binge of watching Criminal Minds, like just multiple episodes, and now I was convinced afterwards that because Victoria would sleep while Criminal Minds was on, so I was convinced that subconsciously she was going to like dream about murdering me, and I would wake up with a pillow over my head. But then like one time I watched like a Criminal Minds that really actually kind of startled me because it was like this is actually like really like a sick person wrote this show, and then all of a sudden I hear like this like high pitched screaming outside, and it must have been like I think it was like a coyote.
It was the coyotes,
killing
yeah.
something.
And then
what the hell?
And you remember in the 2 days after, it was like there was a report that the coyotes were like on the hunt. So it was like, oh, that was definitely the coyotes.
Yeah, we've had coyote attacks on children in this town. Until my child's born, I can actually laugh at that. But you know, what can I do? I'm a terrible person.
All right. Anyways.
Anyway, okay. So Raw opens up, and we have a big surprise. Initially it was reported earlier today by Sports Illustrated. They got the big scoop. Can you imagine Sports Illustrated just sitting around, just like, I wonder what WWE's doing today, and we can break it first. You know, it's like, yeah, right. It's like
I love your passion right there.
I
by
know.
the way.
Well, it's like it's like the Sports Illustrated was the first to report. It's like, come on, like they're sitting around, like no one emailed them that story. Come on now. It's like, oh, Sports Illustrated is the new Dave Meltzer. It's like, come on now.
Yeah, right.
It's really not. Anyway, that Jerry Lawler would be hosting the King's Court tonight with Sasha Banks. I was like, well, that's freaking random, but cool. King's Court.
Why not?
Well, it wound up he was on commentary.
Oh,
so that was nice to see.
It's beautiful.
And because Corey Graves was on vacation, and I have to say, I know, I get it. He's 70 years old, heart attack, stroke. A lot of health problems he's had. He hasn't changed his diet either since he had the heart attack and the stroke. Still eats a lot of fast food. Still eats like crap. Jerry Lawler is still a great, viable commentator that adds a lot to the show. And I'll talk about while he was on the show, because there was a point where he was taken off the show, which we'll talk about. Jerry Lawler was really, really good, especially in his first match with Dolph Ziggler and Roman Reigns, which was a total surprise. Had no idea that was happening. And honestly, I was even more surprised that it was just such a damn good match. Wow.
No, I loved it. And it was just nice to see that, with the whole like reports of Ziggler this week.
Oh, God.
Not coming to the back, he's having words with Vince McMahon and then what have you, that they were able to kind of distract you a little bit. And I don't know, me personally, I think it's all like an act, and I don't really think that he's actually going anywhere, because he actually really does seem to have like momentum. And I know people were saying, because he, lost to Goldberg or whatever, got speared by Goldberg, that was some sort of like form of a punishment. To me, no. And secondly, like, you can't put on a good match. Like, he's been having like consistently good matches, consistently good segments. This is actually a time where he's on like some good momentum. Yeah. So for them to be like, he's having words with Vince and then he wants out of his contract.
It was clickbait that caught on.
But it was
garbage.
But
garbage
it was
reporting.
But I'm just saying, like, again, it's hard for me to personally believe any of that.
It's
only
not
because,
true. That's why.
Of course, but he's just. I mean, I wasn't really sure like how this chemistry would go. And this matchup, but really solid, really good stuff that came out of it.
To me, it's hard to have a bad match with Dolph Ziggler, and it's hard to have a bad match with Roman Reigns. Like Dolph Ziggler, when he's in the ring with someone who's really good, he has great matches. When they put Dolph Ziggler in feuds with people that aren't like great mat technicians and stuff like that, and they kind of want Ziggler to make them look good. That never happens. Obviously, that becomes the curse of Dolph Ziggler, where he kills off people's pushes before they really get off the ground. Well, just because Ziggler's not good at carrying people, but he's good at bumping for people.
I think that,
and that's what I said last week. With the Goldberg thing, and then what they did with the Miz the next night.
Yeah,
they've unlocked the secret sauce, the secret recipe to what makes Dolph Ziggler good, is his bumping.
Yeah,
and he bumped like crazy again tonight.
I hope Heyman is on him like white on rice, just going forward, because this has just been really, really good for him. And you already, because you already have like these preconceived notions about how somebody could be in a feud, like you just mentioned, about how he's this, feud killer, career killer, or what have you. But if he continues like what he's doing and they keep building upon what he's doing, there's great things that he could eventually have even more opportunities that he's been seeking and longing for so long.
Right.
Continuously, because there has been like these stop and go pushes with him.
Always.
But that's now, like, if he could really, if they can just hone in on what they're doing with him right now, it will continue just to move forward, and it will be a nice progression. So I just hope Heyman is just continuing to stay on top of that and really paying attention to Dolph Ziggler.
I think they kind of finally understand how to treat Dolph Ziggler. So anyway, they have Roman Reigns come out. Ziggler gets on the microphone. He goes, because he was going back and forth with Reigns on Twitter, saying like, I don't get it. You were almost hit by a car. You weren't, and meanwhile, I've almost been killed by Bill Goldberg, and then I was attacked by Maurice's husband.
Not the Miz, Maurice's
husband, which is great. Ziggler comes out. He goes, I was hit by 3 spears. I thought there was 6 months in between each spear. I don't know the rules. It was really funny. He's really got like this delusional heel thing is just absolutely
incredible.
Hilarious to me.
And I don't think we've ever seen that from him.
No,
he's tried the screaming. He's tried, so many different things. But this is so good, and it works.
Right. He's tried to be the tough guy, the heel that cuts the passionate promo. He's tried to be the face that cuts the passionate promo, but there's no character there. This is an actual, for the first time, I think, in Dolph Ziggler's 11-year career as Dolph Ziggler. I guess if you want to say 13 years as a member of the Spirit Squad. This is the first time since the Spirit Squad days that he's had any type of actual character.
I can finally say what is a Dolph Ziggler. A really good bumper, really good at selling, and somebody who is, like you just mentioned, the delusional heel. Those are 3 things that you can easily define now just for these past few weeks, which you couldn't get out of those 13 years that he's been in his whole career. Right. As this show off or whatever. No, this is him. This is good.
Yeah, very, very good. Let's see. So then they went on to, and Ziggler blindsides him with a super kick, which looked really good. Hits him with zigzag on the floor. We go to commercial. I love that we're doing commercials again, so these matches actually have time to build. That's why this match was good. And there were some really, really great moments in this match. They had a very even match. Roman Reigns looked very, very good in this. He let Ziggler get a lot of offense in on him, and there was one near fall that was just spectacular. Goes for the shoulder, hits the ring post. Ziggler hits a zigzag, covers. Oh, they don't have the. Oh my God, I can't believe TDE Wrestling didn't get the cover in there, because the kick out was the absolute best. Timing impeccable. Like the referee's hand, here's the mat. The referee's hand was like right here, and he kicks out. That was one of the best near falls I've seen in a while. Yeah. And Roman Reigns was just amazing on that near fall. Absolutely amazing. Ziggler got hit with a Superman punch. That was another great near fall, but still, Roman Reigns I was like, wow, Dolph Ziggler's actually going to pin Roman Reigns. That's how close this was. Where it actually, I was like, in my head, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're actually going to do this. And then he kicks out. That was really good. And it was so good that the crowd was chanting Roman by the end of it, which that's what you want in every match with the company's super face and all that stuff. And then Roman Reigns eventually kills him, splits him in half with a nasty spear. This was just such a great match to open up Monday Night Raw. Absolutely great. Totally unexpected. Wasn't promoted. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
I already talked about loving it. So, I mean, listen, I'm happy. It was a really great way to start off the show. A really good match. And unexpected surprise.
Yep. Great stuff. Really, really good stuff. Let's move on to... Yeah, I guess that's all we have to say, right?
Yeah, no, it was amazing.
Okay. So, we have... I'm trying to think what was at the 9 o'clock hour. Oh, yeah. Braun Strowman and AJ Styles for the United States Championship, a match that was booked last Tuesday. So, we've been waiting 6 days to see this match. And it wasn't much of a match.
No.
Which is fine, actually. Actually, there was a really, really scary moment during this match where Braun Strowman goes for a back body drop, and I guess AJ didn't get enough revolution, and then quick thinking on AJ, because he was heading for landing on your skull territory, and then he kind of just like bumped off his shoulder and used that momentum to kind of flip himself over. But that was actually pretty scary. I have to say,
that
I was like,
terrifying.
Oh my God. I was like, what is this, like almost like a weird flapjack into like a back body drop.
There was a few things that
there was a lot of missteps tonight.
Yeah, there was a lot that was at the top for sure of like, ooh, oh my gosh. But there was a lot of those tonight where with them where it was just like a couple of different I guess like miscues and like just miscommunication among, I don't know, but they seemed to kind of like, I don't know, a little bit sloppy. I'm not going to say it was fully sloppy. It was nothing to write home about the match by any means.
No, it was just a match.
It was okay.
It was a match used to set up the main event later on.
Yeah.
Which is, so AJ Styles steps up to Braun Strowman, slaps him right in the face. And, like that part of the match I did like, because he knew that he had the OC right there at ringside. Of course, the OC interferes. Seth Rollins then runs down, clears the ring. And basically later on, they're backstage, and Seth Rollins says, I know you were looking at the Universal Championship, but first we have to take care of the OC, so I want to book him. He goes to book a Raw Tag Team Championship match. I was like, who did he go ask? Because there's no more authority figure on Raw. So who did he go ask?
Who knows? It could literally have been anybody. For all we know, it could have been Hornswoggle. Maybe Hornswoggle's in charge back there. Who knows?
Hornswoggle used to be the mystery Raw
I remember
GM.
that. I remember that.
That was like the big payoff.
That's why it was like the first thought in my head. I'm like, oh, okay.
and I'm like, what writer went through every single anonymous Raw GM segment and realized that Hornswoggle was like the only wrestler on Earth that wasn't in one of them, and then made him the anonymous Raw GM? Like,
so it has to be Hornswoggle.
Poor bastard that had to go through that. That was a dark period of wrestling. The anonymous Raw GM. Anyway, our main event is Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman versus Gallows and Anderson for the Raw Tag Team Championships.
I think you self-consciously. Like, we'll wait for doing big hits.
I'm doing big hits, yeah.
Yeah. That was 9 o'clock, right?
9 o'clock, yeah. Now we go to 10 o'clock.
Right.
Okay, I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
What did I miss? You don't know. Okay. Anyway, thank you for distracting me.
No, the top of the hour.
I know. I'm getting to that. That was 10 o'clock, not 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. The New Day versus the Revival is the 10 o'clock spot. This, again, another one of those, not much of a match, but it's fine that it wasn't much of a match. It's fine that it ended in DQ because it furthers a storyline. Big E hits the ropes to go spear Dash Wilder off the apron, but Randy Orton runs in, hits him with an RKO out of nowhere. Another perfectly timed RKO for Randy Orton. And Orton and the Revival start triple teaming the New Day until Kofi Kingston runs down, tries to make a save. He's quickly taken down with an RKO by Randy Orton. Xavier Woods tries to make a save, and then the Revival hits him. They hit like a super 3D, but it's really just like a flapjack into an RKO. But that was perfectly timed. And then the big penultimate finale thing here is they break Xavier Woods' leg. His leg is broken, everybody. And Randy Orton forced Kofi Kingston to watch. Bad acting all around. I love it. That's just like a classic wrestling angle. Totally awful acting, but there was a lot of fun here. I really like furthering the storyline with Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston. I thought I thought paying it off at SummerSlam would have been too early anyway. Doug and I talked about, if you haven't checked out the SummerSlam review, it's available in the archives here on YouTube. But if you haven't, we talked about how we actually kind of like dug that finish. Dug the finish. You like that?
Yeah, I like that little.
Because like you don't need, not every match needs to have a finish. Like some stuff can go into the future. It doesn't have to be, this is it. Well, that's over. We built this, this thing basically has a 10-year storyline behind it. Inadvertent. Nobody ever knew that Kofi Kingston would get over to the level that he's at. And now we have this like great storyline. We're not going to just blow it all here at SummerSlam. Let's just stretch it in the future. So this stretches it in the future. Randy Orton's looking psychotic. He's getting back to like, looking like the Randy Orton of old. And Kofi Kingston's looking like, a really relatable, great babyface.
Yeah, definitely.
Great babyface champion. I did really like his selling here when they basically they broke Xavier Woods' leg.
Oh,
yeah, I mean the crying, it was goofy.
He was so dramatic. Like,
and that was 2 segments in a row of faces crying because they had Rey Mysterio right before this match started. Rey Mysterio's backstage talking about, my family, like they did the whole payoff to that. Luckily, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be last week, where they're like, it's like, I have my family to support. Like, Rey Mysterio's we're supposed to believe that Rey Mysterio's had a almost 30
financial struggles,
almost 30-year career and hasn't saved any money. I guess he spent it all on masks. Who knew? But luckily they didn't do that. He just said, he basically did this like really like emotional retirement angle with Rey Mysterio, where he goes, I knew this day happens to people, but I didn't think it would happen to me. I remember when my uncle trained me, and I've met so many great people, but lately things haven't been clicking. What Andrade did to me, ripping off my mask, was a disgrace. It's the biggest insult. And what hurts him the most is the fact that I can't do anything about it. When I step in the ring, I can see the next moves ahead of me. But even though I can envision it, my body can't do it anymore. So because of that, it's time for me to hang up the mask and let this new generation of superstars make an impact. Goes to remove his mask, which I'm sure there's some grumpy ass fan that's like, well, we've already seen it with his mask off 20 years ago in WCW. It's like, who cares? Fucking loser. I hate people like that. I really do.
Oh,
sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, no, really, because I know there's people out there. I saw them on Twitter.
Well,
we've already seen what he looks like with his mask off. It's not a big deal.
Oh, believe me, I know those people.
Shut up, you losers, you miserable pricks. You assholes. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, what's the cursing tonight?
I hate those people. I
know.
them all.
I mean, I don't like them.
I hope they listen to this podcast just so they can hear how much I hate them.
I mean, listen, I don't like those people either, but jeez.
I know. Anyway, by the way, we have Shifty in the chat room tonight. We have Mr. V in the chat room tonight. We have Ram Prasath in the chat room as well. Hi, man. I'm from India. Hello, sir. Good to see you. All right, so we have Indian representation in the chat room as well. So now we are truly global, as well as Quentin Walter from New Zealand. So very exciting. Anyway, Dominic Mysterio comes and stops his father from taking off his mask. Says, you promised when you were training me that you would be my tag team partner. I wanted to be able to tell my children that I teamed with their grandfather, the great Rey Mysterio. Now Rey Mysterio is crying. And he says, Dominic says, stay in WWE. Don't retire. And he says, I'll do it for you, son, because I love you. And they kiss and hug. So it was really like a very emotional segment. I actually thought for a second he was going to take the mask off. Really well done.
Yeah.
Dominic was a little stiff. I do have to say, if I had to critique the acting here, Rey Mysterio was giving his son a masterclass on how to act in a promo. And Dominic was a little stiff, I thought, with his lines.
You know what? I don't totally agree with that. I think that first of all, initially I thought, I'm like, I'm gonna have to like hide, and because this is gonna be so much cringe, because I was like, oh, here we go. This is where Raw is gonna go on the downhill. But I was very pleasantly surprised by just how, much that there was emotion into this, but it really developed into something really nice towards the end. And I don't think Dominic did that bad. I think
it was fine, but it just kind of came out of nowhere too. I was like, "Who's this guy grabbing Rey Mysterio?" Holy crap!
Especially since he disappeared for like he was involved and he wasn't involved. So like, it's kind of like, okay, where'd you come from? Because you disappeared for a while. But no, I don't think he was stiff as much as he was just being like a typical son talking to his father. You know what I mean? I think that Rey Mysterio had all the emotion, and Dominic just had to kind of come in as like this young guy, and like, I don't know. I don't think he was stiff. I just think it was like just the age right there, the difference with an age. Like he's the father, he's the son, and he just comes in and he's like, because he didn't fumble on anything either.
No, it wasn't fumbled, but he was just like, you need to stay on Raw. You promised me.
I think you're being a little dramatic.
It wasn't
He did not pause like that.
It wasn't that bad, but it was pretty close. I thought it was pretty damn close.
You don't know what you're watching because
I was watching.
No, I know you were watching, but I'm like, wait a minute, it wasn't that dramatic.
But you know what? Like basically the point I'm trying to make is
I know what you're trying to say.
He was stiff, but he's a 22-year-old kid. This is a really, really big opportunity for him.
Yeah.
Basically what they're doing is I don't know if he's going to like totally avoid NXT, although if NXT is moving to USA Network, Dominic Mysterio being on there is not the worst thing on earth. Dominic teaming with his father in what could be Rey Mysterio's retirement angle is actually like a really big push.
Yeah, no, and he's definitely got a
I just hope he's ready for it.
Well, that's to be determined. I think that's where it's one thing to cut a little, do a little promo and do segment, but it's another thing to match up when the story evolves, and then it's another thing to be in the ring and tell a story.
Right. So
we have this.
That part remains to be seen.
Yes, exactly.
That part remains to be seen if he can tell the story in the ring, but well, like Doug says, there has to be a point where he cuts someone a little slack. I agree, but if you're getting this big a push, you're under the microscope. The scrutiny is going to be a lot stronger than it would be if he was just coming up through the ranks.
Let's just put it this way. He's got to learn fast.
He has to learn fast.
He's in a position where he has to learn fast. He's a legend's son, and he is being thrown into this retirement angle. So he's got to learn quickly.
Alleged retirement.
Right.
Angle. Alleged. Yeah.
It's
like I don't actually think that Rey Mysterio is going anywhere.
No, but
it maybe slow him down, use him as a special attraction, stuff like that. Although the guy can go, like there's no question about it. Rey Mysterio has a lot left in the tank.
In WWE, the age is,
like I know it's like ridiculous.
It is ridiculous because he can go, like you said. If he couldn't go, that'd be one thing, but he can.
But I watched Rey Mysterio at like All In, just a little less than a year ago, and the guy was moving better than I've seen him move in years.
Hello, his match with Andrade, like
his matches
3 weeks
with Andrade were phenomenal. Just a couple weeks ago, the matches he had with Andrade was phenomenal earlier this year.
Yeah,
so the guy can go.
He can go.
It's just and with the mask on, you can't even tell how old he is.
No, you can't.
So what does it matter?
It's just a silly, total silliness.
I know. It's just another thing, just for people to complain about WWE, which I'm doing right now. Raw Tag Team Championships match: Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman versus Gallows and Anderson in the main event. This is the conclusion of the Tonight storyline with a multi-segment storyline with Seth Rollins, Braun Strowman, and the OC. They get back at the OC, those mother lovers, by pinning them for the Raw Tag Team Championships. It looked like the OC was going to take over for a little bit. They had AJ Styles interfere. Seth Rollins was getting beat down. Braun Strowman was effectively taken out. But eventually Braun Strowman gets in the ring, power slams Carl Anderson, and we have new Raw Tag Team Champions.
I like this a lot. And one of the main reasons why is my whole long-term goal would be for them to, since they did actually obtain the titles tonight, now that, Rollins mentioned that, like, I know you're eyeing my Universal Championship, that they face each other. So it's like tag team. Now they're going for the Universal. So it's just it brings into this whole little crazy mix of a storyline that would be really cool to pan out a little bit. So, I mean, I know you mentioned that Braun Strowman should be facing, I don't know, I guess like bigger guys and being more showcased. But if this is kind of like the direction they're going with him, I think that's what they should do.
Right.
If you do want him be on Raw more, and if you want him to be one of your top guys.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion if they did that angle.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the story. I like the story. I like when they make, rivals tag team champions and stuff like that. Even though they're two faces right now, I'm sure Strowman's eventually going to turn on him. Right now, all they have is him like looking at the Universal Championship, going, it's like so, like very just like
salivating,
salivating, very excited about the Universal Championship. But it's like the story is great. I don't know how the match is going to be. I know Doug is going to have to watch that match at Clash of Champions on September 15th or 16th. I think it is September 16th. I don't know how that match is going to go. It doesn't really sound like a great match, and it kind of sounds like a little bit of the same old for Seth Rollins' title reigns this year. He had one really, really great match with AJ Styles at Money in the Bank, and then after that it was Baron Corbin Fest, and Mr. Work Rate, Mr. Great Matches wasn't able to have great matches until Lesnar beat him. Had a great match to win the title back from Lesnar at SummerSlam. I don't know. I don't know if Braun Strowman is the way to go. I don't know if I can suspend my disbelief enough. Like that. That's really like like when I watch wrestling.
Yeah.
It's like Brock Lesnar is like he's the beast, but like he sells so well and he can do so much with guys that are smaller than him that it's like when he eventually does get beat, it's like wow, like that was just a phenomenal match. Braun can't move around that much, and he's much bigger than Brock Lesnar and much more immobile. I just don't know if if when Seth Rollins does eventually beat him, if it'll be good enough.
So my question is then, are you figuring storyline not matching up with the match?
I think the storyline is going to be better than the actual matches.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much what I'm saying. Yeah, and I honestly think that at this pay-per-view, for the first time in like 900 years, the WWE Championship will actually main event a pay-per-view. I believe it's going to be Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton in the main event of Clash of Champions for the first time in forever.
Which honestly, that if what you're saying is true, and I hope it happens, that would be great because Kofi really needs like that push in that direction as champion. And It'd be nice because he's the SmackDown one that would be the one to main event with Randy Orton. So, but yeah, I mean I agree as far as I'm excited for the storyline, but if they do go that direction, yeah, the match is a little bit weary, but maybe they'll surprise us. Who knows?
We shall see. I don't want to put the match down before it even happens, but. I don't, it's just like I've seen Braun Strowman, and have matches like this. It's never really good, unless they do what they did last year with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, the pay-per-view after SummerSlam at Hell in a Cell. Now it's Clash of Champions again, with Brock Lesnar just coming out and just laying everybody out. And we have a no contest, so that's possible.
That is very possible.
That's possible, especially because Lesnar is going to be back for the SmackDown, the first SmackDown on Fox. And Hell in a Cell is that weekend. It kind of makes sense if Lesnar's going to have a Hell in a Cell match against Seth Rollins.
Right, and he said he's like, oh, I deserved that rematch. I don't know why I'm not being, given that rematch.
Right.
So that would make sense.
So, I mean, that's the only way that I can see this kind of playing out, where it's like kind of like a halfway decent thing.
Or if it's very quick.
Yeah, like he kind of like kicks him in the nuts, like 3 stomps and just kills Strowman.
Something like
I don't know.
I don't know.
Daniel Shell says we're fancy booking. Yes, we are, and we can because it's our damn show. We can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. It's our show. Anyway, so I mean, those scenarios sound pretty good. I'd like to watch what we're talking about. Sounds pretty good to me. All right. Anyway, so now let's get to the quick hits of Raw tonight.
Wait a minute. Before we get to the quick hits, I really thought the top of the hour at 10 o'clock, because I thought we mentioned it was...
It was a small segment, but it drags into bigger segments later on.
Okay, so that's why we went to something else?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I
know you're salivating.
No, I'm saying, was I completely losing my mind? That's the only reason why.
No. Okay.
Okay.
So we have The King's Court is our first quick hit, which really was one of my favorite segments of the entire night. The King's Court, which is supposed to be with special guest Sasha Banks. Now, before this King's Court, Becky Lynch is shown in this pre-tape promo. She says, last week on Raw, Sasha Banks beat me stupid with a chair. And I'm like, she actually did beat her stupid because she hit her in the back of the head with a chair. She probably was feeling a little loopy afterwards. People want to know why she keeps challenging the locker room. Lynch wants the best, most aggressive version of the people challenging her, and that's what Sasha Banks is at the moment. And this was a great promo that Becky Lynch cuts. She goes, what did you do on your 4-month vacation that made you so hot as you are right now? Absolutely nothing. All it took was for me to do a couple press interviews during SummerSlam weekend to turn you into the top dog of 2019. You've done nothing to make yourself so great. Sasha Banks is the greatest woman on the roster to never be great. She can swing the chair and wear the dollar store glasses all she likes. The bottom line is she put more work into getting Banks into WWE than Banks did. Why did it take Lynch to unleash the real Banks? The greats don't need to be goated. This is a cat and mouse game, and when Lynch does get her, she'll give her something to go home and cry about. This was awesome because it plays off the actual real-life drama that we know played out behind the scenes with Sasha Banks, kind of walking away, not feeling she got a good opportunity, kind of feeling her career was, in the mud, which it really was. And Becky Lynch, there is some truth to Becky Lynch building her up and kind of creating this kind of buzz about, Sasha Banks coming
Lynch
back.
Really,
this was probably the best Becky Lynch promo I've heard her cut since before WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. No, definitely.
Yeah, I thought you were going to elaborate.
Definitely. No, there's really nothing more to elaborate. It was really, really good. And she really sold it. And it actually engaged you more because you didn't know what was happening yet with Lawler not actually interviewing Sasha Banks and everything. And then for the latter part of the night, to really also to build her up from last week. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
to keep that
And there is some truth there about, Sasha Banks not being, being the greatest woman on the roster, not to actually be great. I've seen Sasha Banks in big moments on pay-per-views, and I have to say, almost all of her pay-per-view matches have been disappointing. Now she was involved in probably the best match at WrestleMania 33, the triple threat tag, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks. Awesome match. That was probably the match of the entire show for that one, for the women's championship, which was just brought back. Sasha Banks also had a phenomenal match against Charlotte Flair in the July 2016 Raw, which was the first Raw when they began the brand split. That was an awesome match. I never really saw her have a really great pay-per-view match. There's no signature moment for Sasha Banks in WWE, and that is true. She's had signature moments in NXT. Yes, Sasha Banks was involved in the first women's pay-per-view main event ever, in the Hell in a Cell. That was good. The match itself wasn't great. But what has she done for the last couple years? That's the question. She's been spinning her tires in this horrible tag team. Horrible. The worst tag team storyline ever. Start and stop. You talk about Dolph Ziggler getting killed by start and stops. They were actually dead. Bayley and Sasha Banks were dead with this storyline. Holy crap. And they created the women's tag team championships, and they really thought that they were going to take, oh my God, the delusions are great here. So I'm actually very interested to see where Sasha Banks goes in this, because
she has her opportunity now.
This is a huge opportunity.
Right. She has her opportunity now, and she needs to deliver. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
She got what she wanted. So she's getting all these big moments. People are talking about her. She's doing this and she's doing that. She's getting big spots. Prove yourself. That's what she's got to do.
It's time.
And it's nice that Becky was able to kind of help. There's other people who are helping the storyline, if that makes sense.
Right.
So,
but again, here, and I guess you could kind of say this is part of the storyline too, is that Becky Lynch did all the work again to get Sasha Banks over, because Sasha Banks didn't, when she finally got her opportunity to cut a promo, it was totally nothing. There was no substance to it. There was no discernible character change.
If you don't mind, I hope it
was goofy.
If we go from the Becky Lynch, we'll go back to Lawler and what happened with him, but to the actual promo itself, and then even just talking real quick about Natalya. And this is just what I want to say real quick.
Yeah.
So I went on my rant last week about Sasha Banks and how angry I am. And it's still no secret that I'm not thrilled that she's back by any means. But again, I said last week, prove yourself. You have a lot of work to do. Prove those who really don't like you, wrong and do what you got to do. So, again, Becky did a great job. As far as Sasha Banks, when she actually cut the promo, there were things I liked about it, and then there were things I didn't like about it. So I like the fact that when, Michael Cole was saying, oh, people have been talking about you or whatever, or she said about her, people have been talking about her, and and then she talked about her blue hair. Like, that was kind of like cool, like to deviate from the real question of like, no, people aren't talking about your hair, they're talking about the fact that you.
Funny.
Yeah, that was funny, and I thought that was good. It was a good little heel tactic and a good little like attitude tactic, because that's supposed to be your personality,
Well, that would have been a good chance for her to actually like say to Michael Cole, like, keep your mouth shut when the boss is talking.
Yes.
Like, where is, like, I just want to know what a boss is.
Right.
Like, what is she bossing?
Of course. And see, that's the thing. But then it fell flat immediately. It just seemed like this is where, if she's going to have these opportunities and they're going to give her these segments, I would have preferred what happened with Lynch. Just happened with Lynch, and then to go forward a little bit, what happened with Natalya. So Natalya was obviously cutting her promo saying, segment about how she has her sling, and she's talking about what Sasha Banks did to her, and about how, she lost at a SummerSlam, and how, she's still dealing with the passing of her father and everything. And then when Sasha Banks comes in, Natty, you can go to hell, and then she talks about how, tell your dad I said hi. If they left it with Becky Lynch, her whole promo, that Natalya segment, and then adding in just a few more things of like, I don't owe anybody an explanation, and that's it, this actually would have been like a home run night for Sasha Banks, because she got a really good promo out of Becky, and like with some truth and validity to what she was saying. Natalya didn't do so bad, and then she attacking her, that was great. But if she just added in that little, I don't owe anybody an explanation, and then didn't even have that promo, she would have been more effective.
Yeah,
I felt I felt like that promo was like not effective for her, and that's talking objectively. You know what I mean? Right. It's again, I don't like the girl, but in terms of this particular, like, I felt like they could have completely eliminated that and just had those two segments, and it would have been really effective. Right.
Yeah. I just didn't think the promo that she had where Michael Cole was interviewing her really did anything for her.
It didn't sell anything.
Because if Michael Cole is like, if Michael Cole kind of schools you and like you don't like fight back, I was like, oh, like, like I get it. Like these are all scripted lines. But, like, I'm surprised that nobody, when they were scripting it and they were looking over the script, where, like, nobody said, like, this would be a great chance to show, like, bitchy Sasha.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's got that attitude.
Like,
you know what
she's
I mean?
like, oh, everybody's talking about my hair. And he's like, no one's talking about your hair. We're talking about, what you did. And she's like, and that would be, like, a perfect time for her to, like, say, don't correct me.
Yeah, exactly.
Who the hell do you think you are? Who do you think you're talking to? You're talking to the boss here.
This is where she should actually have her, like, real life. Like, when she shows that emotion of like that she's not happy, this is where like she should really just like lash out and show that side. Do it. You know what I mean? Like, now you have this opportunity. Show that sassiness, show that attitude, show that aggression. Go for it. Seriously. Like, you know what I mean? It just almost seemed like she was like holding back a little bit.
Well, it was like, if I would rather have just had her not do that promo.
That's what I said. That's what I'm saying.
There's just no reason for it.
Show the attack on Natalya. Becky Lynch did her thing. That would have sold her story enough.
Like you could have actually, like, it would have been even better if they had Michael Cole interview Natalya.
Yes.
And then Sasha Banks attacks Natalya.
Exactly.
So you combine those two segments, because the best part was, when Natalya was cutting her promo and she's like, I was talking about my father, and Sasha used to be my best friend, and then Sasha attacks her from behind. She says, go to hell, Natty. And tell your father I said hi.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell your daddy I said hi.
Exactly.
Like, that was a great line. I hate using Jim Neidhart in storylines. I hate using death. But whatever. This was actually a pretty good use of it, if there is a good use of death. But, like it is what it is.
No, I agree.
But if you combine those two, made them one, and gave Cedric Alexander and Sami Zayn a little more time by just combining these all into one thing, this would have been much better.
100%.
Would have been much better.
So,
and it would have been better for Sasha, because Sasha is actually, is the talk of the wrestling world right now, at least in the on the WWE front.
She is.
On AEW, everybody's talking about, oh, Tony Schiavone is coming. It's like, who cares? Tony Schiavone's coming. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. The big talk here, though, is like Sasha Banks and NXT moving to USA Network, which was not announced tonight, by the way. So, I just don't think that, if you want to keep her over, don't do any more interviews like that. Okay. Anyway, getting back to the King's Court now. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I just felt like those three things needed to go together tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So getting back to the King's Court, where he's supposed to be interviewing Sasha Banks, Jerry the King Lawler says, before I bring out Sasha Banks, I need to talk about the King of the Ring because, well, I'm the king. I'm the king of the ring for the last 50 years. That's been Jerry Lawler. He says, it's not, and he seemed like a little off on his in-ring promo. He seemed a little nervous. He was like, King of the Ring, it's not just a moniker. It's a launching pad. Yeah, and Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Minnesota's own Brock Lesnar have all been King of the Ring. Then he started rolling. And he starts to make his predictions for what he thinks is going to happen in King of the Ring. He goes, I think it's going to come down for the Raw side, Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, which I guess that means you can guarantee that that's not actually going to happen. And on the SmackDown side, then the lights start to flicker. And I absolutely love this. Jerry Lawler recognizes what's going on. He's been watching TV and knows that.
Hey.
No, go on. Say what you want to say.
No, I said immediately. I'm like, okay, he's like the first smart person to actually say like, oh no, I know what's happening. I'm getting out of here.
Right.
He wasn't like, oh, what's going on? Like, who is that?
Right.
Sorry, continue.
No. But that's like, that is like, I've been waiting for somebody to be like, oh my God, lights are flickering. I'm getting the hell out of here. I know what the hell's going on. I know what's going on. Everybody's kind of stands there like, ooh, what is this?
Yeah,
what
like,
is this?
What
is going on?
Oh my gosh.
They just kind of stand there and then eat the mandible claw. Well, Jerry Lawler attempted to run away, or should I say he just kind of like slinked away, slimed his way up the ramp.
Oh my gosh.
The lights are still flickering. I mean, this is hilarious because they start doing that like high-pitched like screeching sound, and Jerry Lawler's looking around. The Fiend comes up behind him. It was great. Just such a great visual. I mean, we're looking at it right now on the GIF, and just squeezes Jerry Lawler with, oh my God, with the mandible claw. So awesome. That was so great. What a great use of the Fiend. Now, the Fiend didn't appear on television last week. I know a lot of people were, oh, where's the Fiend? Where's the Fiend? Well, the Fiend is not somebody who should be on TV every week, but used in segments like this, where he gets a Hall of Famer or something like that. This is great. The next time I hope we see the Fiend, I hope we don't see him anymore. I hope it goes weeks without seeing him. September 10th, Madison Square Garden. They just advertised The Undertaker today for SmackDown Live. The next time we see the Fiend, I hope it's in the ring with The Undertaker, and I hope he gives him the mandible claw. Because you talk about...
We did, yeah.
That would be huge.
That would be huge.
That would be huge.
That would be absolutely huge.
So, and then the match happens in
Saudi. And
then the match will happen in Saudi Arabia.
And then use them both sparingly, of course.
Yes.
But yes, no, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
This was thumbs up, 2 thumbs up for me, this whole thing. And again, Lawler was just so funny, so smart, just coming out and be like...
I thought that was hilarious.
Like,
he goes,
well, I'm getting out of here. I'm not going to be that brave,
He goes, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm good. I'm good.
That was great. And the Fiend doing his thing, always a good showing. And I agree.
I just love this Fiend presentation. It's
yeah,
so great.
It's just very unique.
But if he's taking out legends, I mean, like, I can't think of a bigger legend than the Undertaker to take down. Maybe they do a payoff later on, where it doesn't have to be a WrestleMania match. It could be a Royal Rumble match, a Saudi Arabia match, whatever, something. It'll get paid off somewhere.
Again, yeah, really good. Really, really good.
Should be good. Mr. V, okay, I just LOL when Mike went, then the match will be in Saudi Arabia. I'm glad I can make Mr. V
Then
laugh.
I couldn't watch it. That would stink.
That's what I live for. That's what I live for.
I hope not, because then I couldn't watch it.
Yeah, I know. Victoria has boycotted all Saudi Arabia shows like she's Daniel Bryan and John Cena.
Hey, I think I have level of importance to those individuals.
Sure you do, because you're pregnant, right? Yes. Anyway, good segment with the Fiend. We get a quick tag match with Ricochet and The Miz taking on Drew McIntyre and Baron Corbin, which really is just a match to remind you that Ricochet is going to take on Drew McIntyre and The Miz will take on Baron Corbin next week in King of the Ring first round matches. So this is just kind of something where the commentators could kind of take a step back, take a breath from the Jerry Lawler incident. They bring out Vic Joseph from 205 Live and NXT UK.
Mm-hmm.
Two shows I don't really watch, so I've never really, I've heard Vic Joseph before. I have to say, that just made you realize how great Jerry Lawler is as a commentator even more when they bring out Vic Joseph, who is like Michael Cole with even less, with like way less charisma. Like, it's Michael Cole light. That was like, it was like that time in 2015 when Brock Lesnar came out and destroyed the entire announce team the night after WrestleMania, and it wound up being Byron Saxton. They thought they were going to give Byron Saxton 2 hours of time to call Raw by himself while standing up, because apparently they cannot put the commentary table right side up. He had to stand there the entire time until they sent out Jerry Lawler to make a save, because Byron Saxton was floundering, absolutely floundering. So like that's what it reminded me of. This is just a guy who was just there. He's one of their generic, play-by-play guys. I just didn't get into that at all. Like he just very dull, very boring.
Yeah. No, you're right. He's a mini Michael Cole, but even less.
He was just there. I mean, Shifty says that Vic did a better job than Michael Cole. He was just there. He was just there for me. He brought the show into commercial break a few times. I don't know.
I don't know.
It just like if that's the future, like when Michael Cole eventually steps back, because I know Michael Cole's talked a few times about stepping back from the commentary table.
Yeah.
If Vic Joseph is the torchbearer, oh boy,
we're in trouble.
It'll be bad when people be longing for the days of Michael Cole.
Well, you know what it is, because Michael Cole, like, at least when he was a heel, it was like people definitely like hated him and like booed him, and
he got great heat. I gotta tell you,
yeah, he did, and
awesome heat.
So I just can't imagine him getting that same type of reaction.
No,
but who knows? I mean, listen, doing his thing in the UK right now. Let him do his thing there, and we'll see what happens.
yeah. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if we'll see Vic Joseph on television anytime soon.
No.
After this, once Corey Graves comes back, Ricochet and The Miz, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin. This is just a good time for the commentators to talk more about the King of the Ring. They hadn't done any first round matches yet. Kind of talk about the King of the Ring and the importance of it. That's what they did, and it was also a good chance to reintroduce Baron Corbin, who we haven't seen since July 16th.
I forget. Did they mention the fact that they didn't? I don't remember now.
No.
They didn't. No, right?
No,
they didn't.
And he ditched the vest halfway through.
He did, yeah.
So he had a black T-shirt on. So
I'm surprised they didn't mention the fact. I mean, again, yes, he's been on house shows. That's not supposed to be.
Baron Corbin's wrestled on every house show.
Since,
every single house show since Extreme Rules.
But I'm not really sure, though. I wasn't sure if they mentioned it.
No, they didn't mention anything about him not being
weird
on television
to me.
for a while.
That's bizarre.
Now the next one to come back is Lacey Evans. We haven't seen her in a while, but again, special attraction maybe.
Maybe.
You don't need to show everybody on TV all the time. Just the ones who are doing stuff.
Yeah.
Like when I was mentioning Bobby Roode and No Way Jose, it was just like, that's just a pointless segment because you're not going to do anything with them anyway. So what's the point of giving them TV time other than just, hey, reminder, these guys are here. Who cares?
Right.
Bring them, show them when you're ready to do something with them. I don't think that there should be any sleeper waste segments.
No, I agree with you.
It's like, I'm tired of like this notion that, this is the rest segment. This is the segment where people kind of take a breath.
You should never really have those moments.
You shouldn't let people take a breath because you don't know if they'll ever get up again.
No, honestly, no. You shouldn't. That should just go away. Like that really needs to be the notion.
That's a very,
you don't want
tired.
people to go. You don't want people to get out of their seat. That's the goal.
Right.
You want people to be conflicted. Oh, I have to really go to the bathroom, or I'm really hungry. Like I wanted to go get ice cream.
Right.
You don't want anybody being like.
Right.
oh, this is a good time to get up. Like
exactly. So I think I think it's a very smart thing. If you have nothing for Lacey Evans right now, don't use her. Don't use her. That's totally fine. Okay. Michael Cole interviewing Booker T. This was a quick little segment. Apparently they have some kind of deal with Skype. Because
that's great.
It's like this 2 weeks in a row we've had Hall of Famers interviewed by Skype. I am just waiting. I can't wait for the day somebody has an awful internet connection and they just kind of cut out halfway through the segment. That would be hilarious. I like what Hall of Famer lives in like the sticks? I'm trying to think. Maybe like Ricky Steamboat. Oh no, they can interview Ric Flair by Skype, and because he's like really bad at paying bills, like his power just gets cut or his internet gets cut halfway through the thing. That would be hilarious. You know what would even be even better? My God, Skype. Imagine if Fiend Bray Wyatt attacks somebody at their home on Skype. That would be so much fun.
That would be good.
I would love that.
That would be good.
Oh my God, make that happen, please God.
Yes.
Please God, make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay. King of the Ring, first round match. Cesaro versus Samoa Joe. This match was friggin' awesome.
So conflicted. I was like, oh, I don't want anybody to lose. I like both of them. And it does. I mean, listen, you can't go wrong with whoever won and everything else. But I was so conflicted. I'm like, oh my gosh, who do I want to win? Because I like them both so much.
I know.
I know they're going to put on a good match. And they did.
Oh, they did. They really, really did.
Oh, it was so great. So great.
Man, oh man, this was freaking awesome. Just hard hitting. They were doing just crazy stuff. Cesaro was flying everywhere, doing springboards, corkscrew elbows.
So good.
Just clubbing the crap out of each other.
Love it.
Beating on each other. It was so great. You know me. Like everybody knows. If anybody's been following my work for how long have I been on Wrestleview? 11 years. 11 years. 11 years. I've been here for 11 years. 11 and a half now, but 11 years. I've been here 11 years and a half. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a sucker for when just two guys get in the ring and beat the crap out of each other.
Just so good.
Because those times when I talk about, I don't know if I could suspend my disbelief, this and that. Well, if I see guys beating the crap out of each other, it just kind of takes you takes your mind into a place where like you kind of forget you're watching wrestling.
Yes.
You're actually watching some kind of a bizarre fight.
Yes.
Where they're kind of doing cooperative moves.
Exactly.
That's stuff that I love. And this match had every bit of that. Samoa Joe and Cesaro just absolutely beating the crap out of each other. They did have a little bit of a botch with a suplex. They tried for a suplex. Cesaro tried to lift him, but Joe's a little bottom heavy, so they kind of fell over. It was what it was. That shouldn't take away from the match, though.
And I didn't mind Cesaro in the I didn't mind Samoa Joe giving Cesaro what I mean. Like submitting, you know what I mean? Like
the submission was great too because it establishes Joe as like this is a guy to watch in this tournament.
Yeah.
He gets it. He sidesteps a springboard and then he locks in the coquina clutch. This was just awesome. This was the first round of the King of the Ring. This is the first match we see of the King of the Ring tournament. Period. That's a great way to kick off this tournament and make it seem like this is really important because these guys went in there and beat the crap out of each other and they made it seem like this is really important to both of us. We don't want to lose. Obviously, nobody ever wants to lose. That shouldn't be your goal.
No.
But they really did a great job establishing the importance of winning matches and putting emphasis. Everybody who says the win is dead, wins don't matter. They did a great job making it look like wins do matter.
And nobody should ever be able to get out of the coquina clutch. And that was a perfect indication of it tonight. You know what I mean? So going forward, if Samoa Joe is wrestling and he uses that move, he should always win.
Right.
Ideally, you know what I mean?
Well, I think that for anybody's finish. I think when you hit your finish, you should win with that.
Without any interference.
Like only on big pay-per-views, and it should be used sparingly.
Yes.
Like if the main event is going to have the finisher kick out, no other match before the main event, unless it's like a co-main event, I guess, should have any type of finisher kick out whatsoever. That's like one thing. That's like a cheap pop. Having people kick out of finishers and all that junk.
No, it was really good.
You can condition fans to get into other things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too, and pop big.
It was so good.
So I think that this should be a protected finisher. That once it's in, it's in.
It's
you can't get out.
exactly.
And maybe that'll be the theme of the King of the Ring. Because I like, for me, I like Samoa Joe winning the King of the Ring. But I love that they had the Street Profits backstage with their printed out King of the Ring brackets and talking about their brackets being busted. For me, if I had to fill out a bracket, it's Samoa Joe, man. That would be so great.
I have a weird feeling it's gonna be Baron Corbin, but I don't want.
Victoria thinks Baron Corbin.
I just have a weird feeling.
We have absolutely no love for the SmackDown side. No love.
Sorry, I don't know.
It very well could be.
But
He already crushed Kurt Angle's hopes and dreams. Now it's time for him to crush
everyone else's dreams is the King of the Ring. So
that's it. All right, we got footage of Elias thwarting Drake Maverick's attempt to win the 24/7 championship at a recording studio over the weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, Elias, I couldn't tell. I know that it was like, he had bad stage hands.
Yeah.
But like there was like a real microphone issues. He hit a bad chord on his guitar, but it was like way out of tune. So I guess that was kind of the joke. But I was like, man, like for a second, I'm like, wow, like this is like the worst production of an Elias segment I've ever seen. But of course, it winds up being that R-Truth was his stagehand. Tries to cash in on Elias, but Elias escapes. Elias was giving his last in-ring musical performance because he's going into hiding to protect his 24/7 title reign, which is like so asinine, so funny.
I gotta be honest with you,
but it was a little disappointing this
segment. That title should not be on anybody but Drake Maverick or R-Truth.
Yeah, I know. Or even Mike Kanellis.
Mike Kanellis.
Like at the end, I think I was beaten into submission into actually liking the Mike Kanellis, Maria Kanellis angle. And now I haven't seen them in a few weeks.
Well, she's, I just saw just today, actually during Raw, she's been having really bad nausea again. So, she wrote like a caption of like trying to be fit, because she was really, really like working out hard during her first pregnancy. She's not able to do that she has to do it like intermittently. She can't do it all the time because her nausea's like just not. I can relate, but yeah. So that's probably why they're gonna like be taking more breaks, and she'll probably come and go. But yeah, unless it's on like those three individuals, I'm not excited. Like it should not be on somebody like Elias. It's just he's not that funny. Like in order for like yes, he's cut like funny stuff and he's been part of funny, segments and everything, but like this should solely be for those three individuals. Yeah, that's it. Like it's a comedic act. Like there's no, now it's like almost gonna be like turning into this. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But like I guess I got really spoiled by those great segments with R-Truth, Drake Maverick, Mike Kanellis. I guess it can't get any better than pinning a woman while her legs are in stirrups at an OBGYN office, so I guess it can only go down from there. So I guess they finished it while it was hot. They finished it on a high note. But yeah, this is a little disappointing. All right, we already covered Rey Mysterio. We covered the New Day Revival. Let's see, skip it around. Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss versus Fire and Desire. This is the point where I said this was the first really bad thing on Raw tonight. Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, yeah, they're a good, they have a decent tag team, whatever. They have the women's tag team championships. At least they're defending them, and at least they're winning, which is something that they never booked the Iconics to do in the 4 months of being champions.
Right.
But unfortunately, because I think everybody knows that Alexa Bliss is going to eventually turn on Nikki Cross. Nobody knows, like, are they supposed to be the faces? Like, Fire and Desire, they're definitely heels, right? They're definitely heels on SmackDown. So this match was just like, everybody was kind of watching it. They're kind of just doing stuff. And everybody was like, what do we do? Who do we cheer? What is this match?
They were confused. The crowd was very confused. Yeah.
It's like, is that what you want?
Yeah. I mean, listen, it was a decent match, but not much to it.
Yeah. To me, it wasn't even a decent match. It was just... If I could quote our dear friend Quentin Walters, our number one fan in the chat room, meh. It was meh.
It was meh. Yeah, it was meh.
It was very meh. So and then they followed up with a King of the Ring first round match with Cedric Alexander and Sami Zayn. That was also meh. It didn't get a lot of time. They botched a head scissor. And when you have a short match like this and there's not a lot of stuff going on, like that's yeah, it's pretty noticeable. Unlike the Cesaro Samoa Joe thing, where they kind of had the match had time to build and breathe, and it was actually had some substance to it. This match really didn't have much to it. I'm just disappointed because I was expecting so much. When I looked at the first round brackets, I was like, great match. This could be awesome. This was one of those ones that I circled. It was like Cedric Alexander and Sami Zayn. That's going to be an awesome match. And it way under-delivered for me.
Yeah, but again, I don't know if it's because of the lack of time that it was given. Maybe it would have built into something better. And I just hope that this is an indication of them not wrestling again, competing against each other, because I think this has the makings of a really, really good match. I think time just was not on their side tonight, and they really wanted to get to Sasha Banks and and everything else. So I guess there was just, in the priority factor, they were like, all right, this is the match. But that's not really good, only because the individuals who did have like their, the first matches to qualify, they, you kind of expected them to, like, you know what I mean? And yes, you expected this one to be also, but it was just, I don't know. So we'll see what happens, I guess. But yeah, and what do you think about Cedric Alexander beating Sami Zayn just in general?
Oh, it's fine. They've been, kind of establishing Cedric Alexander as somebody who is slightly less than, the jobber that he was, and more, of like mid-card, but with caution. It's like that's kind of how they built him up. He had they debuted him as the janitor in that main event of Raw with Shane and Drew McIntyre. He lost. He had his match against Drew McIntyre where he slipped on a banana peel and won. And then after that, all he did was get beat down by Drew McIntyre. They had a good match last week, but Drew McIntyre still won. So, he's elevated to a degree. He definitely has more, notoriety, more recognition than he did before the thing, which is a success. But, like beating Sami Zayn, Sami Zayn even said in his pre-match promo, all I do is lose. So him losing it's not really that big of a win, but we'll see. According to the brackets, let me just take a look at these brackets real quick. Of course, I can't get this thing working. Yeah, here it is. Ricochet and McIntyre. So maybe that could be a good semifinal match, though. And the semifinals take place at Madison Square Garden, at that Raw Madison Square Garden. It could very well wind up being Cedric Alexander and Drew McIntyre in the semifinals. Hey, you never know. But I like I said, I just was expecting a little more from this match, and it underdelivered.
Yeah.
So, hey, is what it is. All right. Anyway, moving on from that, we have. Oh, I'm out of place now because I had to scroll up and look at the brackets. I think is that it?
I think so,
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all the stuff that happened on Raw tonight. I think the best way we can sum this up is I just saw a comment on Twitter which kind of made me chuckle a little bit, where they go, well, at least this time Braun Strowman won the tag team titles with an adult. So that's a great way.
I miss Nicholas.
That's a great way to sum up Raw.
I miss
Nicholas was at Raw reunion, and they showed him.
I do.
They showed him on a WWE.com exclusive, and I was like, God, you should have used Nicholas on the show. Oh my God, you should have used Nicholas on the show.
Yes, they really should have. I do. I do.
A total legend.
Oh, Nicholas.
That's great because I also curate the title histories for Wrestleview, and. I remember when I actually had to write in Braun Strowman and Nicholas, and I was like, this is so asinine. But that's it. It's in the history forever. Braun Strowman and Nicholas.
Is he in 5th grade now or 6th grade?
I think he's going into 6th grade. I think
he's going to 6th grade. Nicholas, have a good 6th grade year.
That's it. Before you know it, referee John Cone will be cutting a promo much like Rey Mysterio, getting ready to take his referee shirt off, and Nicholas runs up and says, "No, Dad, don't do it. You promised me that you would referee with me one day. You'd be the outside official while I'm in the ring. You can't leave WWE yet." It's going to be a beautiful storyline. And that's coming in the next 10 years.
Talk about fantasy booking.
That's long-term booking.
That's true fantasy booking.
That's long-term booking right there. That's long-term booking. So,
oh, wow.
What did everybody think of the show tonight? In the chat room, let us know what you thought of the show, and I will show you what people on Twitter have been saying about this show. We have 83% thumbs up. People like this show. And, I have to agree with them. I have to give this a big thumbs up.
I'm giving 2 thumbs up.
Daniel Schell wanted to say 69% thumbs down. Of course, 69. That was like
I know, Daniel. I'm
Daniel.
sorry.
God damn it, Daniel. But no, this is a big thumbs up for me. This show was very, very easy to watch.
It went by very quickly.
Doug's got to get his gimmick in there. Doug's dropping gimmicks tonight. Next, he's going to start wearing a fanny pack. Thumbs down because everyone watches Raw. Yes, of course. Raw has 69 thumbs up from Quentin Walters. Billy Hefner says it's way up. I didn't go to my DVR backlog this week, so that's pretty good. From Shifty.
Ooh,
so
yes.
Yeah, that's actually,
that is.
That's probably the best.
That's actually the best way.
The best pseudo thumbs up I've ever heard.
That is the best compliment you can give Raw. Actually, good job, Shifty.
Daniel Schell, meh. He didn't. Not a fan. Yeah. James, the 24/7 title history on Wrestleview must be wonderful. I just did that yesterday. Actually, I'd spent some of my Sunday kind of fixing up the title history section. So if anybody wants to go check out the title history section of Wrestleview, be my guest. The 24/7 title is now included there. So yeah, it seems like the general consensus is people did like the show. Like I said, I thought it was very easy to watch. Those first 2 hours are great. Third hour kind of dragged, but it finished up in a big way with new Raw Tag Team Champions. Good storyline advancement. We have a little less than a month to go before the next pay-per-view, but it's essentially, let's just round it up and say it's 30 days away. So there's still a lot more story to be told, and they kind of have to drag some things out. So I'd be very curious to see if they do another one of those. I'd be very, very curious to see if they do another one of those house show pay-per-view events. Like they did with Smackville.
Yeah.
Just to kind of break it up in the interim.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a fun thing to do.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Doug, on this week's Wrestleview Weekly, apparently a lot of you sent me Orange Cassidy matches, so I'm going to watch them live. Doug is watching Orange Cassidy matches on Wrestleview Weekly. Good deal. That should be fun. Yes, and if you enjoy our show, please press subscribe, and you can so that will automatically set you up for notifications when Doug's show is on the air Wednesday at 8:00. Wrestleview Weekly. Doug is on every week talking about the news of the week. Also reviews Raw and SmackDown
and his famous milk carton.
Oh yes. So 90 thumbs up after the Raw review from Quentin Walters. I like that.
Yeah.
Daniel misses thumbs in the middle. Well, it's never coming back, Daniel. Never.
Daniel, I agree with you.
James says,
let's boycott.
James says, I only watch the Tedescos. Hey, all right, cool.
Hey.
If that's how people consume Raw through us, that's pretty good. Then we're doing something right. All right. So with that, we're going to wrap this up for tonight because this week we have baby furniture coming. So we're still cleaning up the room and getting it ready.
Oh my gosh, I feel terrible this
life
week.
Life is crazy.
I am so uncomfortable. I don't know if anyone could tell tonight.
No, you can't. You look.
Was I a trooper?
You were very much a trooper.
'cause
Victoria didn't even do one of those things where she sneaks off to go to the bathroom and I have to talk awkwardly by myself for a few moments. She was good. This was good all night. So, with that, our life is changing, but it still stays the same because we're here for the Raw review every week, post-Raw. Next week, make sure you tune in. Announce it. Shout it from the mountaintops.
50!
The big
50!
Number 50. Post-Raw number 50 is next week. Tell your friends. Shout it from the mountaintops. Shout it from the rooftops. Post it in your favorite 8chan channel. Whatever you need to do to get the word out there, let us know. We hope to see you there. We hope you enjoyed tonight's show, and I hope that Raw is just as agreeable with everybody next week as it was this week.
Yeah.
Until then, I'm Mike Tedesco, editor-in-chief of Wrestleview.com.
And I'm Victoria Tedesco.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.